Hi all, my name is Gaurav. In previous video, we saw how does JavaScript behave, and we concluded that it's a single-threaded synchronous behavior language. Means everything written in a JavaScript will execute in sequence. Like here, if we have these three statements, console log, print this, then this function call, and this. All those would be executed in sequence. Okay, so this function is nothing. This just wait for 10,000 millisecond or 10 seconds, and then this line should be executed. So that is how it works. If I hit this, it will call this and it will print this, then it will go inside this function, it will print this, then inside while loop, it will wait for 10 seconds, and finally it will print this. So that is how it is working. So this is a synchronous behavior. JavaScript exhibit by default. Now, imagine a scenario you are on a website, and that is how modern websites are working. So, on a e-commerce web page where you have facility to add comments, enter product details, whatever you want to buy, all those things, and at the same time on the same web page you have a button, let's say fetch order for the particular month or given month. Now you are on a web page, you click on that button, fetch order for a given month, and it starts fetching all the orders for the given month, and it might be time consuming task, let's say 30 seconds, 1 minute, or 20 seconds, whatever it is. So ideally, because JavaScript is synchronous, it will start fetching the orders and it will block your other execution. Basically it will freeze the web page, and it will not be pleasant experience for you. So ideally, it does not happen in the modern website. So when user clicks on the fetch order, in parallel it works fetching orders, and you can keep working on your web page. Web page does not freeze. But how does this happen if JavaScript is a synchronous language? Because this is not a synchronous behavior, this is a asynchronous behavior. So that's a trick. So basically that happens because of Java runtime environment. And what is Java runtime environment? So if we talk about client side, so when we say client side, you are an end user and you are hitting a website on a browser. And you are performing some operation, clicking this button, entering some text on the web page, and behind the scene JavaScript code is executing within the browser. So that browser is a runtime environment for your JavaScript. And when you install the browser, so along with the browser, a JavaScript engine comes, which is responsible to execute the JavaScript code. So for example, in Chrome, engine name is V8. And along with this engine, other runtime environment component comes. So one component from the client side is a web API. So web API nothing but a function written by the browser. So for example, one popular function is a setTimeout. In Chrome, Google has written this function setTimeout in the language C++, and it's a web API. Means it's a API which is exposed to JavaScript. So JavaScript use that web API setTimeout to achieve the asynchronous behavior. We will see how internally it works. Before that, we will see how this setTimeout looks like. So what I'll do, I'll comment this function and I'll use setTimeout. What this setTimeout takes the two parameters. First parameter is a, let me delete this, we'll create from the beginning. When I say set timeout, it says, okay, what is the callback function? Means what function you want to call. Basically, when you hit this set timeout web API. So I say, okay, I want to call this function, my function which is blocking my execution. When I say blocking my execution, it's a time consuming code. And if I hit this, it blocks the subsequent calls. So I say, okay, I want to execute this function This is a syntax. I say function. In curly braces, I say this function I want to execute. And then it say, okay, after how much time you want to execute. So I say, okay, wait for 5000 milliseconds and then execute this function. Now this is the code, and this function first parameter in JavaScript terminology, we say it's a callback function. What does it mean? It means wait for this much time, whatever given is the second parameter, then again call back this function, whatever given as the first parameter. So that's a simple meaning of callback function. Now, if I execute this code, what will happen? It will execute this statement, then it will go to set timeout. As soon as set timeout is a web API, and by default it has a asynchronous behavior. Because now JavaScript knows this is a web API, it immediately sends delegate execution of the set environment to web API. Hey, go to your run environment and web API would be executing you. So it goes to web API. And what does web API do? Web API says, okay, now JavaScript delegate this to the web API. So web API would be doing something. Don't worry about that, what it would be doing. Now immediately this statement would execute. And then web API in parallel would be executing this. So basically what will happen? This statement will execute, it will hit this set timeout, but now it will not block the code because this is web API and it has a asynchronous behavior. Immediately it will execute this statement, and after 5 seconds it will call this function and it will execute this statement at line number 5. Then it will wait for 10 seconds and it will execute this statement. So let's see how will it work. So it executed this statement. Then it did not go into this function. It executed last statement, call stack is empty. And then it went inside this function. It executed this statement. Then it waited for 10 seconds and executed finally this statement. You see, now execution sequence changed. So that's a asynchronous behavior, and it does not freeze your code or browser. So we'll see again here as well in browser. I'll take this function. I'll go to my browser code, and this is a simple browser where I have a button, and I am saying on click of this button, execute this code, my set timeout, and this is my web page. Here I can see the console. Currently, you see, I'll hit this. I'll clean this. If you see, this page is enabled. Ah, one moment, something wrong happened. Why? I need to comment this function because in my HTML, I say this is my source of JavaScript. You need to refer this JavaScript code. And as soon as I load the browser, this JavaScript code gets executed and this statement gets executed. But what I need this function, set timeout function, executed only on click of this button. So that's what I am saying. So now say it again. I'll clear the browser. Now currently this is enable. Okay. When I click on this button, what should happen? It should not block, freeze my browser. Still, it should be enabled. So let's see. If I click on this button, what will happen? It will execute this statement. Will it? Or it will wait for these many seconds, whatever I have given. Let's see. Okay. And primary thing is when I click on this button, it should not freeze my browser. I click on this, nothing happened, but at the same time, my browser is enabled. Now it started executing after 5 seconds this function. Which function? This function. And it printed this, and it will wait for 10 seconds, and then it will print this. And that is how it is working. So it's working in asynchronous mode. If you click on this, if I refresh this, so it will load this JavaScript code. So basically what it will do, it will print this, it will print this. So that is what you are seeing here. Once you click on this, it does not freeze my browser, and after 5 seconds it start executing the code written inside the function, which I have said you need to call this on click of this button, which is nothing but this set timeout function. Okay, now let's see how actually it would be working. So we'll see here. So okay, so now this is my code, my first statement here. This is my function definition. This is my first executable statement here. This is my second executable statement here. This is my third executable statement here. So basically what happens, JavaScript has a main thread, and inside main thread there is a call stack. So whatever statement, executable statement, those go, all the statements are residing into the stack. Stack means first one will be executed first, then the second, then third. So that is how it is coming here in the stack. Now, when we execute the code, sorry, when we execute the code, this statement would be executed. This executed. Now it comes to the set timeout. Set timeout is a web API. Now this web API is itself asynchronous. So what JavaScript does, JavaScript says, okay, let's say there is a second parameter, 3000 millisecond. JavaScript delegate this call to runtime environment. Okay, here, which can be web API from the client side. If we are running on the browser on server side, it would be Node.js. And this Node.js or web API will handle this waiting time, 3000 millisecond or 3 seconds. So that's what it would be, waiting for 3 seconds. As soon as this wait finish, this function, callback function, will be placed inside the task queue. Okay. Now this task queue will have this function, and there is a mechanism event loop. So what does event loop does? Event loop constantly looking into a task queue and into the call stack. So task queue basically it's a function who is waiting to get executed, and how it will be executed, because it's a JavaScript function, it will be always executed into the call stack. So as soon as, but it will wait until call stack is empty. So now still call stack has one statement to execute. Event loop will not put this function simulate blocking callback function into the call stack. Now this would be executed. Last statement. Now call stack is empty. So now this function will go into the call stack and this would be executed. So basically how actually if you see things are executing synchronously only. You are getting a impression that things this function is executing in parallel. But no, this is not executing in parallel. It was residing in a task queue and it was waiting when your call stack is empty. All the code gets executed, then in the last it would be executing. So basically it is executing synchronously, but because call stack is not empty means you are doing something, you are putting comment, you are logging something, all the things happening in the call stack. So this function is waiting. Okay, do your thing, then only I will come to call stack and will get executed. So your browser does not freeze. So that is how it works. Once it execute, again call stack gets empty. So that's a behavior of JavaScript. Basically, it is again core JavaScript. It is running in synchronous mode, but because of this runtime environment, it provides a feature of the timer. You can wait. Then it provides a feature of task queue where your time consuming operation can wait into the queue, and then the event loop, which looks after if call stack is empty or not. As soon as call stack is empty, it takes the function from task queue and put into the call stack to execute. So that is how JavaScript basically works. I think I was able to explain what is call stack, event loop, task queue. I hope you enjoyed the video, but still if you have some questions, please feel free to put in the